Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the Kiki channel, and today is the day that I give you the results from the portal homework. For those of you who are new to this channel, thank you for being here, and you are welcome. Today you are going to witness what it looks like for people to actually do some work instead of just feeling good about hearing about spiritual and occult and magical things. We're actually doing the things and seeing what the results are. So this time for our homework, I decided that we were going to create portals. Now, previous homeworks, we explored the Illuminati, and then we also learned and practiced speaking in light language and explored that. So this was a different idea in that we were actually creating something versus exploring things that already existed. And so here are the results. Yes. So the first person who got something in, homework was due February the 26th. So the first person that actually brought something in was Gloria. So thank you, Gloria. And I was excited to see this because at first I was like, are they gonna do this? In the previous homeworks, I got them a lot faster because maybe it wasn't as much work. So I was like, oh gosh. But sure enough, we do have results. So this is what Gloria says. My portal opens at the crown of my head, two intersecting lines of light slicing my scalp into fours. The horizontal line connecting from ear to ear, the vertical one from the back of my head to in between my eyes. Each individual slice will lift from my scalp one by one until they stood tall as a four-pointed crown made of my flesh and hair stretching out to the spirit world. The separated layers of flesh on my forehead would expose my third eye. The messages would then enter from the spirit world and exit my third eye into the third dimension with clarity. Closing the portal would act in the reverse. The crown would fold down one flap at a time, followed by my third eye. That's the first question. So 2, the intention of this portal would be to control the flow and clarity of the barrage of messages I've been receiving. My crown opened up as I had envisioned, but my third eye blinked like there was sand in it. After examining my portal, I discovered there was a blockage. I thought the blockage was a boulder, but I should have known that it wasn't a complete blockage because the messages kept coming through, just no clarity. Through a dream, I found out it was just some cut trees and building lumber causing the blockage. I could move the timber around, but couldn't pull them out of the way. They were too heavy for me to handle alone. 3. The exercise has exposed a lot to me. The above account is a grossly simplistic explanation of what I've been going through the past few weeks. Those blockages were actually embarrassing and hella humbling at closer examination. What I also discovered is that there are a minor obstacle to achieving my goal. Plus, I got a huge pimple in between my eyes. This could be because I was slipping on my water, but those pimples usually occur in my chin. Now my focus is on clearing these blockages, which I have to do before I can securely open up both ends of my portal at will. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you, Gloria, for participating in this. All right. So that's our first one. I appreciate this. I'm not going to say I understood every point, probably because of the tense. She was speaking in the conditional tense, which is would or would be, and because of the conditional tense, it threw me off a little bit. I'm like, did this happen, or was it a condition in which this could happen? So, but no matter what, I feel like there was a participation here, and I'm very thankful for it. So here were the questions that I asked. 1, you were to make a portal. Describe your process, intention, location of the portal, and opening and closing methods. 2, use the portal. What did you use it for? And then 3, document the results. What were your results and were you successful? So those were the requirements for this, and so I'm going to read all of these according to that format. The 1, 2, and the 3. So our next homework comes from Natasha. Thank you so much for participating, and here we go. So the first thing she did was create. That was the first. So I approached this task very relaxed and without fear. I couldn't decide where to consistently keep my portal, so since I didn't have any fear or a long list of do's and don'ts with approaching this project, I decided to create a portal above my bed. Nice. Opening and closing. I first created an orb in my hands and jostled it around until I could feel it being moved from one hand to the other. Then I spread it out with my fingers like you did in the homework video. I do the reverse when closing my portal and order it verbally to be so. Nice and simple. Function. At first, my only intention was to interact with beneficial beings and only allow beneficial beings to come through the portal on my side. And I only interact with beneficial beings while I was inside. All right. And the results. My first few experiences were once I would open my portal, I would walk into complete darkness waiting for something to happen. I just sat in complete darkness. After the portal was closed and I went into my daily routine, I would notice unusual sounds throughout the house that I hadn't experienced in a long time. Since I knew this portal was in a peculiar place to invoke sleep, I occasionally fell asleep without closing my portal. I decided to give my higher power a sign name, which I don't reveal, the task of opening and closing the portal appropriately. I would call on my higher self by name to open the portal and expect that if I fell asleep during the process, she would close the portal and return me to my bedroom in my current place and time. I also began to set the intention of interacting with recently passed ancestors that wanted to interact with me once I entered this portal, experiencing them in a physical form at their preferable age. I remember seeing my great-grandmother. She is on my ancestor altar along with one of her ceramic black cats. I remember before she crossed over, she told me, "Some say black cats are bad luck. Don't believe that. They are good luck." So early in my spiritual journey, when she wanted to speak to me, my daughter and I would both have sightings of a black cat. My daughter would see a cat in the house. We don't have any pets at all. And I would see them in dreams, or they would cross my path when I drove down the road. I saw various ancestors. They would look up and acknowledge me but go about their events. One set of ancestors were playing cards or chess. My great-grandmother was the only one that stopped what she was doing and intuitively called me near. I don't remember anything after that. But when I awoke the next morning, I was singing this old gospel spiritual. If it had not been for the Lord on my side. Now, I couldn't tell you the last time I attended a Christian church since I started on my journey to develop my spirituality. So this was no coincidence. All right. I really like that account. And I like that you started to just let it go and use your intuition and not have so much control over it. And it kind of parallels my experience when I did my first portal, in which I just did it essentially near where I slept. It was very similar to that, and that was when I started to have past life recall and all these other things connected to me traveling in and out. So this is awesome. Thank you, Natasha. All right, so next we have Lorisha, and I'm so excited about this, and so I am going to read it out. So, my portal manifested in a painting. I painted it back in October, but didn't get the connect till doing the homework. Ooh. I first had to get out of my own way. These are new beginnings, and it won't be perfect. My intent was just to see self-elevated, confident, and striving. I had glimpses of myself doing things I desire in my future, but that wasn't the highlight. The deeper I went into my portal, I kept coming to a place of darkness and calm. It kept taking me inward. Though I had these visions surrounding me, the objective here to me was in order to have my visions manifest, I have to go inward. Learn self, to remember, to relearn. I am the light of my darkness. I have to embrace the womb, the me, the Lord that is I, in order to get any further in this thing. Once I do that, gain confidence and acceptance in that, me, myself, I, whatever I desire is and will be here at my grasp. I close my portal session with some da-da-tos, which are thank yous, and some ta-taos. So she was using her spirit language to work with the portal session. This is a portal year, she's saying. So hearing portal this and portal that throughout, and then the homework, it's like, whoa. All right. So I'm going to include maybe a glimpse of one of the images that she created. So, very nice. So I really like this because that's the thing. When we talk about portals and what they mean, it has a lot to do with going in. So it kind of makes me excited to talk about my experience, but I'll talk about my experience last. Okie dokie. So now we have a real music lover. So the answer to the first one is, I chose to make a physical portal with the intention of gaining future wisdom and the increased power and focus. Using a wooden box with a hinge lid that had a magnetic insert which was a secure lid when it was closed. The interior is black, and I used breath work, 3 full breaths per minute, as a way to power up and sustain the opening, all the while staring into the black interior. The physical opening and closing of the lid was how the portal opens and closes. I keep the box in my den. What did I use it for? I first wanted to use the portal to tap into future wisdom that I need to know. However, I decided to change for a way to tap into the power of focus, clarity, and resolution. Ooh, interesting. So then 3, after practicing my breathwork technique of deep breathing, 3 breaths per minute for several days, I would breathe, and after about 5 minutes of this, I would start to feel like I'm falling into lucid dreaming. I don't feel like I was successful in pulling anything from the portal at this time, and I would continue to work with it. However, I kept being reminded that all of the portals I seek are already inside, but maybe limited or shut down by my lack of imagination around this subject. So, and this was the first time he's ever tried anything like this, so this is how it was. I really like this because it actually will connect to my own experience in which I use a physical object as a portal, and my imagination is extremely vivid, so I think you all will enjoy what that meant and the journeys that I took because of it. All right, so keep in mind what he shared here, and then we'll make the connection later. Thank you, real music lover. All right, so now we have Musank. Okay, here we go. So I decided to participate by making a portal to a time when I felt completely absolved of my responsibilities and had full control of how my day went. Well, that's interesting. That was the summer going into my junior year of college. I was in my home state, spending most of my time hanging with my back home friends while also taking a physics course, I guess at the local school. The main themes of that summer was an interesting contrast of being an HBCU student at a PYI. I think PYI means like pretty much a white institution, while returning home and doing questionable activities on the south side of the city. A few hood rat things with my friends. Oh, I understand, but it was fun nonetheless. A time where I was boldly doing what I wanted, when I felt like doing it, while still doing what I needed in order to succeed. That feeling of freedom was what I wanted from my portal. Ah, interesting. The portal was a simple chair in my apartment that represented the seat to my best friend's car. All my friends would pile into this car and just go wherever the day would take us. I would use the portal every night by making the motion of buckling myself into the seat. This is dope! While I was in the chair, and just obtain that feeling I had when I woke up every day that summer and knew that I had no set schedule besides this one class. I would feel the freedom to do what I want on my own time. The results of this portal were very surprising. 2 things happened after I started using it. 1, I started to enjoy my work more. Though I wasn't doing what I wanted on my own time, I felt more in control in obtaining the results I wanted out of the effort I was putting in. And then 2, the first weekend after starting the portal work, a friend, the brother of the car owner who I spent 90% of the summer with, contacts me and says he'll be in town for a few days. This is someone who I've stayed in steady contact with but have not seen in face-to-face in years. Though the whole squad was not there, I was literally back to a mini version of that summer for a few days. That's awesome. I'm not certain if this was a result of the portal or it's not a coincidence or just a coincidence, but I don't put too much belief. Okay, thank you. But I don't put too much belief in coincidences. Please note, there are probably a million backstories from this portal, so please appreciate my efforts in not sending you a novel. Oh, well, thank you, Musank. I appreciate it so much, and I feel like this is so amazing. I too have done something similar. So reading this kind of made me think of, gosh, I've done something like that, where I too had a summer of perfection and being in my full power. And so I had to tap into that to have more experiences like that. So I love that you did that with this homework. And I hope that gives everyone who's watching ideas on how to tap into that power. That's dope. Thank you for sharing. Oh, I love homework. Don't you love homework? So next we have Poppin' Poppy. All right, so I'm going to read this. I've been creating mental spiritual portals through the heart for quite some time. I do it for helpful information that I need for enlightenment, or when I just need to take a break from the illusion. I sit still in my space, either bedroom or home office, and relax enough to see. I envision white lights all around me for protection. Then I go up into the heavens. Of course, I've had to be honest with myself in the stillness when the information comes through and not mess it up with my own preconceived notions of how I want things to be. I've received answers for real problems in my life, such as what directions to take when at the crossroads, or how to circulate more money. I close my portal by thanking my spirit guides and ancestors for showing me. Then I envision myself back in my space and time where I see protective white lights. However, something unusual happened to me in my physical space at my home office a few weeks ago, before the super blue blood moon. I had no conscious intention of opening a portal through the heart at the time. The events that led to this phenomenon were not unusual. I simply cleaned my house and sat down to work. For most of the day, I burned cloves and cinnamon to raise the energy in my space, as I always do after cleaning. After work, I lit a white candle after dressing it with olive oil. Tired, I tuned in to the energy in my space to relax. Without warning, I saw a centaur with a bow and an arrow riding from where my bedroom is located. I remember feeling like I was in another dimension. I closed it by turning my thoughts away from it and became upset with my spirit guides for not giving me the heads up. I kept the matter in my heart and wondered why I was shown these things. Usage. After hearing your assignment, I decided to try to open that portal to the other different dimension again. My intention was to find out why I saw that centaur in the first place. I created the same dynamics as before, with burning clothes and cinnamon, sitting at my desk, relaxed. I centered my thoughts on the vision of the centaur, but nothing happened. Results. I feel that something did happen. I had to remember that portals don't necessarily mean that a vision must accompany it. The reason I know the portal opened was because my diet changed drastically to no sweets, which is unusual for me. I observe and I'm more conscious of my own thoughts and actions more than before. In conclusion, my usual portal activities that require my open mind and sincere heart is being challenged to get stepped up. I attribute this homework assignment and the super blue blood moon for that. Right on time. Well, that's awesome. Thank you. So she had a regular practice of working with the portal and more happened. I love that. And that's what a lot of this is about for me. When I put these assignments out, even if you guys are already practicing this, it's more about pushing things just a little bit more. And I get that a lot in my sessions as well. People want more. And I'm like, okay, well, you got to do something. Try something different. Have a new experience. Have a new perspective on what you already thought you knew. So that's a perfect example. All right. Thank you, Poppin' Poppy. All right. Next up, we have Kim. All right. So let's do this. And I'm very excited. All right. So 1, I chose a box that was gifted to me as my portal. The box is a wooden box covered with crystals. Honestly, I was somewhat intimidated about creating a portal because of other people's accounts of negative energies also passing through. However, I have used portals in the past. Tarot is an example. I just never labeled it as a portal. Thank you. Divination is actually creating a portal. So I put my fears aside, having recently received a download of the word indigo and beginning to explore the energies of starseed, indigo, crystal, and rainbow children. The crystal box made me feel safe. I also felt I could physically control the opening and closing of the portal. I placed a spiritual angel figurine, Atlantean crystal, and an argan piece in the box. Dope. So there's 2. I used the portal to help me remember. We saw this before, didn't we? I have been on a spiritual journey for about 7 years now. Spiritual awareness is important to me. but not fitting in with mainstream religion, and it has been challenging. Historically, I've been trying to see into the future of what my divine purpose should be like. However, learning of our past lives, interests, gifts, etc. may help reveal what our current path should be. So it is my intent to use this portal to journey to the past. Didn't I say that's my portal helped me do? Even though it wasn't my intention. I think I just wanted to have a portal. All right, so 3. I opened my portal before meditating. My experience was not like astral traveling. For me, the awareness of downloads I received were heightened. I discovered a book during this process that has given me clarity of my essence. I am supported in my quest for understanding and relating to cosmic astrology and energy. My ideas and thoughts are beginning to make sense. There is a guided meditation that I came across to activate the indigo star portal. Haha. So I also began using an internal portal. I just had an aha moment. Well, I'm creating a portal between my physical self and my higher self. I'm conscious and meditating daily and looking forward to it. I trust the information I receive. I have not yet experienced other dimensions astral travel during meditation while opening the portal, but I do experience astral travel during my normal awakened hours. I subconsciously zone out and cannot necessarily remember my thoughts, but it feels like I'm traveling to parallel dimensions. So here's the conclusion. I created a safe portal. But regardless if the portal is internal or external, we have control of how far the experience takes us. We are simply limited by our own imagination. Alright, so side note, I work from home and sometimes I meditate in my office. However, each time I use my portal near my work computer, I encounter technical system issues. And she said she loved this assignment. Well, I'm so appreciative that you did it, and I'm glad that you explored in this way. This is dope. So thank you. Just so you guys know, I'm actually reading these for the first time because I wanted to have more of that reaction to it. So this was awesome. Thank you, Kim. So now we are moving to Natalie. All right. Well, I've created 2 portals. One I always see when I meditate, and the other from a tapestry I have hanging in my living room. Ooh, I like that. I've been looking at those wall hangings lately, and they make me think about that. All right, so here we go. The first portal is some sort of water well that I always walk to and sit on when I meditate. I only see my feet walking to the well and sitting on it, but I never look down the well. So I try to look down, but I still can't see anything, just blackness. I finish meditating and then I see my feet walk away. The second portal I created after drinking mugwort tea. What? I woke up, sleeping on the couch as usual, and stared at it, and the center started to move almost 3D-like. This also happens when I stare at my yoga mat. I needed a place to scream, yell, cry, and that's what I did. I went in and screamed, and the room was a gold color. It's still open because I need it to be. Oh, I love it. I want to create a portal for my younger self. I wanted her to walk with me through this second half of my life. She says she's old. Nah, you're not. Anyway, that's it. By the way, my daughter said to me the other day, Mom, are you talking another language? Random, out of the blue. See, kids know. So I want to speak to this for a little bit here. Natalie, my advice to you here is this. When you are at that particular portal, the well that's really dark, see if you can go in it. See if you can go in it. Remember what I say about darkness. Go deeper into the darkness and see what happens. You can always come out, right? But see if you can go in it. All right. Thank you so much for participating. I really like where you're going with this. And I actually just keep going. There's so much more to this. There's so much here that I feel like you've only just like gotten to the tip. Just as you're dealing with this, the well, it's like you're just getting to the edge. Go deeper. All right. It's awesome in both areas. Okie dokie. So here we are. We have Mansoor. And what he did today for us is made some music. So you will hear that. And then it says, as always, I hope this message reaches you in the best of health, spirit and mind. You have to give this to him. All right. So let's see. I'm looking for am looking for a very clear, concise formula here. So let's see if I can find it. Because my format was not adhered to, and I'm very clear about this, but I will summarize a bit of what I read here. Okay, so the first part of what he's saying is that in his attempt to make a portal, some things happened in the way and he had to pull back from that. So from there, he decided to create a portal really from the heart space, which was actually very good. And then from there, he was radiating healing energy from within, similar to the superhero Iron Man, resulting in subtle yet magical success. For example, his tourmaline, which was taken out, was returned the next day. Alright, though occasionally faced with resistance, I used telepathy, music, meditation, visualization, dreaming, symbolism, a whole bunch of other stuff. His very presence as a beacon of unified spiritual elevation. What a better place to create a portal of global tranquility than Union Station, the heart of the nation's capital of the world. I also plan on casting my rose quartz into Chesapeake Bay as soon as the weather breaks. So essentially he's on a mission to use himself as a portal of love for all beings. Well, as many beings as possible. And there we go with that. There's a lot else here too. But the gist of it is that great things happen and lots of love happen. All right. Thank you, Mansoor. And thank you for enjoying this. And thank you for doing this your way. Jasmine. Hello, hello, hello. All right. Thank you for following the format. So, 1. My portal was opened by just using my mind at first. I imagined that I was staring into a space via an opening in my ceiling. This was done in my bedroom while I laid on my back in complete darkness. To be honest, I never closed the portal after opening it. Nothing happened on the night I opened it. I wanted to leave it open until March 1st. I have no idea how I'm going to close it. Love it. Anyway, I used various crystals under my pillow throughout this process, but what really helped me on a Friday night was moldavite and azurite together. I believe this combination is highly effective for me. Well, if you believe it to be so, so it is. I use my portal to connect with my higher self and ancestors. I wanted to know how I should eat this year. Very specific. I was considering a diet change for health reasons. I have some family members that struggle with the same issues I have when they were present on Earth. This was my initial plan for the portal. As I stated before, I never closed my portal, so the first night nothing happened. But on Friday, instead of laying in complete darkness, I burned a red candle and added 2 crystals aforementioned under my pillow. I did this throughout the weekend. Here's something that happened. So 3, she's getting to the results. I had a dream about a war, and I was hiding in a room with people that I couldn't see. I just heard crying and gunshots in the background. Saturday morning, while watching YouTube videos on ancestry DNA results, I saw a video regarding a ceremony in Virginia dealing with a reconnecting ceremony between African Americans and the Igbo people. It was really random at first, but from there I began to research more, and I learned about the Biafra Nigerian Civil War. At one point, I had to stop because it was too much for me. I read and listened to accounts from people that lived throughout, and I felt really emotional the whole Saturday. I assumed that was what the vague dream was about. I too have had dreams like that, just so you know. Thank you. I'm glad that you have said that. All right. I dreamed and daydreamed about a lot of snakes. I was never harmed in the dreams. The snake in my first dream just followed me around. It looked like a huge anaconda, but with intent like we were going somewhere. I have no clue where, but we started out moving in a circle in my backyard from my childhood home. In circles, we slowly moved from around my old swing set for about 3 laps, and then we moved out into the back alley to the sidewalk. I woke up at this point. In other visions, the snake The snakes were much smaller and looked like normal pythons. I never really got an explanation about what the snakes meant. I don't trust the explanations online, so I will continue to seek answers intuitively. I still have dreams about snakes. When I lie in bed, I can close my eyes and still see them. I completely forget to record what crystals were under my pillow when I dreamt about the first snake. When you think about snakes, especially as a woman, think about wisdom. And think about what that means. You're searching for wisdom about your past. You are going around in a circle searching for wisdom about your past. Just think about it like that. And then C. I started to see so many angel numbers since opening the portal. I started seeing angel numbers back in December, but now it's becoming more common to see them everywhere, not just on the clock. I try to connect my thoughts with the numbers when I see them, but I honestly don't know what they mean. The past week I saw 777 and 888 a lot. I typically see all the numbers, and I want to explore this further. I did get the general explanations online, but I want to figure out what they mean to my life specifically. Why don't you look at my video about seeing numbers? It's definitely more of you working with who you are to decide what the meaning is, okay? Shameless plug. All right. These are some of the general happenings I document for this homework. When meditating at night, I got downloads of what foods I should incorporate into my diet daily: lemon, ginger, and various foods. You got your answers. I received additional info, but I would like to hold on to them so I can have a chance to decipher what they mean. Of course. It'll come across scattered if I add them now. You did everything wonderful. So thank you so much. It's also known as miscellaneous. So I appreciate you doing your work, and everything you have here is fantastic. This is the kind of growth that we're looking for, and thank you for sharing it. All right, now we have Cypher Terrestrial. We all know Cypher. Here he is, and let's do this. And he followed the format. All right, I began my process by studying 2 websites to get an idea of what I'm working with. After a little bit of study, I used my artistic skill and symbolism to focus my mind and intent into my work. Then I set the mood by burning mugwort, a purple candle, and meditated for 30 minutes. After meditation, I would then sit in total darkness and focus on the task at hand. My intention was to create 2 portals, one inside of me and the other is a portable portal I carry in my angel eyes ring. Nice. The first I would open and close simply by touching my forehead with my right hand, the other by simply touching my ring and commanding the portal to do what I want. Do it. So 2, the portal inside of me I use to speak to my spirit guides and gain information on things to come. The portable portal I'll be using for traveling. All right, so now we're going to 3. These are his results. The portal inside me is working perfectly. And I know this because I received visions of 3 different events 3 days before they took place. So freaking cool. Ooh. And then the portable portal I'm still working on. I see it forming. I just can't use it yet. I will get to this. It's all about putting your energy forth. So maybe you've gotten some ideas of what other people have done who've been working with the more physical portal. So move forward there. You got this. Keep going. I love it. And then he says, you're our version of Professor X. Well, hey, I like that. Thank you, Cypher. This sounds great. And you are the second person that talked about using that mugwort. So we all know mugwort is fire. For those of you who haven't tried it, try it. See what it does. All right, so now we have Shamrock. I wanted to create a portal to connect to my higher self for creative clarity. I was feeling pretty good about this. Then I watched when you went live on Thursday, and I had to check myself before I wrecked myself. You said, what does your higher self really mean? My higher self ended up meaning the Sham, who is without fear and who can see above all the 3D structures that aim to restrain humanity. The portal is in my backyard, in the snow. I opened with a prayer, which is me thanking Creator, ancestors, Mother Earth, the elements, myself, M'Baku, Spinery, and Black Panther, etc. For some reason, this portal wanted me to sing, to connect to this part of me, so that's what I did. Every time it was a new song in my light language. I'm not a singer. I'm sure my neighbors enjoyed. I love that. On a couple occasions, I became emotional. It felt like a purge. I closed with a song in my light language, a prayer of gratitude, and an intention to close the portal. I meditated in that portal at least 3 times for a week for 2 weeks, each time for about an hour. And the depth to my creation has changed. I noticed every time I meditated in that portal, I received an idea to add or omit. I don't always understand the why when I receive the idea, but I follow the breadcrumbs, synchronicities, which reveal themselves very quickly. And the result is exactly what the project needed. Aww. Thanks for the assignment. And then he says, love and light. I kid. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing the work, and thank you for sharing that perspective. I love that you were going outside. I love the fact that you were singing and using the light language. I love everything about this, and you were getting answers that you wanted. So if you guys haven't figured out anything, people are getting the answers that they were seeking all through this process. I love it. Okie dokie. And that was the last person. So now it's my time to tell you about what I experienced with the portals, with my portal. So you guys all know I did a physical portal, which of course I don't have here. But no, there's a candle in it right now because I'm actually working with it. So I don't want to go get it and try to transport the candle. But we all know I worked with the physical portal. I'll just insert a picture right here. And the idea behind that for me was that I am all about non-physical things. I'm always wanting to do everything here. I don't like to use divination too much. And so I wanted to do something where I challenged my ideas of what a portal can be. And of course I've worked with the physical wall before, but at the same time, it was very similar into the way I think either Natasha or Natalie talked about creating it and then spreading it out, using the hands. So I want to do something different. So in that portal that I had, it was, it's kind of like, there's like many functions for that, but you can do a lot of different things with this. But in the inside, there was sand. So something about that reminded me of like a sacred space, a space to enter. So what I would do was I would light a candle, or I would light something or put some smoke in it. Either way, I would put some kind of fire element within the center of it to essentially kind of get it going. And once I got it going, I just said, okay, it's open. And I just left it from there. Then of course I would go to sleep and do all that, or I'd meditate. Either I'd go to sleep or I'd meditate after it. I'd get into that zone. Once I would get into the zone, I found that closing my eyes, I entered an internal portal from there. So the physical portal became a physical representation for an internal portal. This was a time for me to connect to my foremothers and a council of women. In that council, essentially, I invited anyone into that council that I felt connected to, whether they were family or not. And in that connection, I would just sit there and soak in all the wisdom. And this is what I was doing. After a while, I stopped kind of being so like intentional or kind of hovering over it, as you see other people did too. I released it a little bit, actually a lot, and I would just light it. And I knew that the moment I lit it up with a candle, or I was working with copal incense as well, any of those things, I knew that something would happen. Well, what happened for me was a deeper connection to, a connection to exactly what my intention was. Of course, deepening my understanding of my foremothers and the journey that I have taken just here, even doing the Kiki scenes of work. Then from there, and this was kind of an unexpected windfall, was I started to get a lot of clients, all women, all hearing the call, all hearing that connection to the feminine. They were all coming forth for that particular reason. And so I realized that me doing that work helped me be more prepared and ready to receive them and be there and support. So this was kind of extremely exciting for me because they were all telling me stories about what I had already experienced and essentially what I was calling forth in that portal, that kind of knowledge, and knowing that I needed to share it, but not knowing how to share it, and to share it in the way that I was doing that one-on-one was so important. To have those moments with my sisters essentially, and saying, hey, this is who we are, this is who we are, this is who we are. So a similar story kept on happening over and over again. The other aspect of this was me connecting to the women around me. So there's my tribe within, but then also around me, and starting to understand the stories. And then I also, of course, had a very deep self-revelation about my own understanding. And so the thing about all of this is that did it take imagination? Yes. But did it take a release? Yes. And so anyone who is having a hard time getting the information, to me, you have to ask yourself, how much were you trying to control it? Sometimes when you seek to control things too much, you don't allow things to flow. You don't allow things to just be what they're going to be. And so that was my biggest challenge. I'm using a physical object, wanting to control it, and realizing, no, don't control it. Let it be. And so then and I just kept doing that. I released it and just said, okay, just light it and see what happens. And that's what I kept doing, not seeking to control it. I also was using the herbs Damiana and passion flower with a hibiscus, really for flavor. And that was a nightly kind of tonic I was drinking. Now this F with my sleep dramatically, but it also started to help me have very clear and direct dreams exactly about what I was doing. So a lot of you guys were working with mugwort. I went a different route, and I'm telling you, Damiana has a different feeling to mugwort. And so working with that was really interesting to me. And I'll do a video on Damiana separately, so check out, look out for that. But so those were the things that I was doing, working with copal incense, working with the Damiana, working with just candle magic in general, and allowing that to be the opening of the portal. Did I ever close the portal? No. I felt, to me, the closing of the portal was essentially when it wasn't in action. So it was more of like every time it was almost like an activation and deactivation. So every time I let the smoke go out or whatever, I kind of saw that as a gentle deactivation. And when I lit it up, it was like activation. So that was really kind of what it turned into, versus an opening or closing. Now, I use the words opening or closing, but remember, I was doing this with you. So the discovery became more of an activation and deactivation. Okay. And so then from that process, a lot of growth happened personally, just in my dream work, but like I said, in my work that I do here with you all, and that I do in my, I guess, in the business of Kiki Cinza. And so the calling is real. And I think that is what kind of shocked me the most. I knew I was doing this from my own knowledge about me and tapping into who I am on the larger scheme of things. I did not expect to tap into, a whole bunch of women who were going through the same thing. That was like the cherry on top. So that's what the conclusion is of doing the portal homework for me. So I encourage anyone who's never done a portal to do it. I thank you guys for sitting here and enjoying this video and staying with us. And I hope that this prompts you. I mean, all I read to you was success stories, people who were actually doing something and getting a result. And for those of you who struggled in any way, shape, or form, realize it's just a matter of going just that much further. And that's all it is. It's like you're right there, and you just got to go a little bit further to get what you're looking for. And you will get your answers. And I think if we've learned anything in all of this, ask and it is given. You will get what you want, and you'll also get more than you ever expected, but you have to do the work. All right? So thank you, thank you, thank you. Hallelujah. Holla magic. As always, like, subscribe, and share this video. And of course, we will have more homework coming up, but let me take a break. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this format. I did not want to stress myself trying to put all that stuff there. So here you go.